Evening. Thank you for coming. Welcome to the March 12th council meeting. I'm shown that it's 7:37 p.m. Mrs. Arcisi, I'm sorry to make you run, but could you please call the roll?
Certainly. Ms. Darrow.
Here.
Mr. Engel.
Here.
Ms. Hannikin.
Here.
Mr. Molnar.
Here.
Ms. Tully.
Here.
All right. I would like to ask everyone to stand and remove their hats as Council President Rita Darrow leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and then I will have Nick Molnar say our prayer.
For the invocation tonight, I was going to quote one of our great presidents, Abraham Lincoln, from November 19th, 1863. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us the living rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here, excuse me, they who fought here have thus so far nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from those honored dead we take increased devotion to the cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from this earth. Amen.
Okay, next we're going to go into our minutes. We have minutes from February 12th and the 26th of 2015. Do I have a motion to adopt?
Can we hold the minutes, sir? Well, oh, I'm sorry. Did we resolve the problem from the
Yes,
first? Oh, okay.
yes, yes.
Sorry.
No, that's okay, Nick.
So, can
Do
we
I
have
have a
a
motion
Yeah.
to accept?
motion to accept the minutes of February 12th and February 26th as presented by the clerk?
Do I have a
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, this evening we're going to have a couple of things before we start our meeting. We have some of our friends from Sagamore Hills here. They're going to talk to us this evening about local government funding. So I don't know if it's going to be Dave or Paul Schweikert, one of you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is David DePasquale. I'm a Sagamore Hills trustee, and I'm joined here tonight with Paul Schweikert and John Zaccardelli, also trustees in Sagamore Hills. Thank you for this opportunity. You may or may not be aware of a letter the Strongsville School Board wrote to Governor Kasich. This letter was prompted by the proposed 2016-2017 budget, the blueprint for a new Ohio. In this budget, Strongsville schools stand to lose $4.2 million. Our school district stands to lose an estimated $2.2 million. The blueprint also calls for $1 billion with a B going to 400 charter schools in Ohio, 80% of which are underperforming.
Originally, we were told that half the government fund was siphoned off so that Ohio could rebuild its rainy day fund. Ohio has had 4 surpluses in a row. The rainy day fund is now at its legal maximum, it's at $1.5 billion. Ohio's budget has a $20 billion more than a decade ago. Ohio has 1 million less people, and local government is still being excluded. We've given you a breakdown tonight in the packet that we gave you on how this used to work. $250 million came from the estate taxes, and we gave you the formula for that. And if you took every township, village, and city in Ohio, $750 million would be allocated to the local government fund. And now we're no longer getting half of that. So we feel that every township, village, and city needs to have the local government fund restored.
Good evening. So far, we've contacted all of our surrounding county Township Associations and the Ohio Township Association in Columbus, Ohio. And currently, we're reaching out to our neighboring communities to help, for you guys to help us join us in supporting House Bill 42. The good news is that House Bill 42 will restore local government funding, if it's passed, to 2005 levels. All we ask is that you join us in calling your state representatives, encouraging your employees and your residents to do the same. With that said, on the final vote for the state budget's June 30th, so we have a little over 3 months. And thank you very much for hearing us, and if anyone has any questions?
No questions, but you echoed our county executive today. You want to get a state of the county address, and all she talked about was the government funding they lost, plus the government funding that you and we have lost.
And if we all join together, it can be strength in numbers.
Thank you for coming
Thank you
and
for
bringing
hearing.
that to our attention and the rest of the people in Macedonia.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Fire Chief Tim Black. Tim, you want to take the floor, please?
I will. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce the person that worked on the grant. As you guys came in, you saw a whole bunch of turnout gear. We received a grant from the Fire Act from the federal government. And I'd like to say I did the work, but I'd like to introduce firefighter Dave Aberth. You know, the fire, any type of federal grant is very, very competitive. This grant was probably about 120 pages. So I'm going to let him go over what he did for the city in capturing this grant and the discounts that we got and what we had to pay for the equipment. We're going to be able to replace all of our PPE, our personal protective equipment. So, Dave?
Thank you, Chief. Good evening, council members, mayor, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure for me to be here tonight to show off the culmination of a lot of hard work. I'd like to take all the credit for it, so I will. I did have our personal protective equipment, like anything else, has a certain lifespan, and after that lifespan, it needs to be replaced. And that doesn't include any excessive wear and tear, I mean, if we were to use it. But this is what protects us in a fire situation. So we were very fortunate to be able to receive a grant, a federal grant, to pay for all of our fire equipment. So this includes the bumper pants, the suspenders, the coats, the the helmet, boots, the structural firefighting gloves, and the extrication gloves. These are not meant to go in fires. These are what we would use on car accidents or things that don't involve fire. And then, of course, the hood. This is what we would put over our head underneath the helmet so that we are protected. The cost of this gear, if we were to go out and purchase it, would be $2,390 a piece. We have 30 members on this department, so I don't have the math there, but that's just a lot of money. Because of the grant and the volume discount that we received, we only had to pay $118 for this set of gear, and for every set of gear that you saw as you walked through. That's only 5%, and that's the only thing that we were only responsible for was just 5% of the total cost. So we were very fortunate to be able to give every member of this department a new set of gear. So now we have another 10 years before we have to worry about replacing any of the gear. So this is something that I'm sure you appreciate, and I'm happy to have been successful with this. This is a very competitive grant. Every fire department in the United States writes grants and is eligible. And we were fortunate to be chosen through the rating process, so I'm very happy for it. So this is what we have.
Thank you very much. Good job, Dave. Okay, the next section of the meeting is our comments by the public. We ask that if you're going to make a comment, please come to the front of the room. There's a microphone here. And please state your name and try and hold your comments to 5 minutes. And the first name on the list this evening is John Matajason.
John Metajasic, and I live in Lake Forest Estates, and I'd like to read a little thing I scripted together this afternoon. I would like to comment on the mayor presenting a resolution to appoint Kevin Bilkey to the audit committee. I have some pertinent information I think the residents of the city should be aware of. There's a history that follows Kevin Bilkey as our HOA president that brought forth to the planning commission a proposal to build a $20,000+ patio. Although he did not have consent of the residents, he, along with the mayor, pushed through planning. I provided documentation to the mayor and all of planning members where Kevin himself stated he did not have consent. Kevin Bilkey had no authority to even talk to the city about this project, but thanks to the mayor and his breach of duty, it passed through. Last week, on March 4th, our HOA had our yearly meeting. Our HOA president informs us that he lost $13,000 to a landscaper in June, and we didn't find out until the meeting on last Wednesday. To add to his indiscretion, he admitted to personal dealings with this landscaper in regards to his own backyard. Mr. Bilkey then states and admits that he did not have consent to build a patio after being questioned by the residents. To make a bad situation even worse, apparently our HOA is not even the owner of record of the land that we built the patio on. I challenge each of the council members to bring some honesty and integrity back to the city and vote no on Kevin Bilkey's appointment. My second thing has to do, Mr. Molnar, I wish to comment on your visit to our HOA gathering last Wednesday and how you presented yourself as nothing less than disgraceful. You are no doubt a divider and a spreader of discontent. You do your best to take credit where none is due you. You went as far as to tout yourself as an expert in stormwater management in an email you sent to our development. You have stated how getting a permanent easement for the creek is a solution to our problem. After 6 months, this is what your expertise affords us as a solution. Astounded. Mr. Molnar, I know you have been to our development because we walked the creek together and you appear to have seen the problem. I am not sure how you missed that the issue is not coming from our development or our city for that matter. I am not an expert in stormwater management, but I can tell you from all the GIS aerial photographs what has been happening over the last 10 years. A substantial increase in volume of water means more erosion. And to think I just used Google. I look forward to all your email with all your verifiable documentation and all the stormwater issues you have personally resolved. And please do not send me that you safely and effectively dispersed water off your kid's wading pool. Mr. Golan's not here, because I would like to ask, where is the report on the mayor for the criminal charges from the October work session that I attended, where they sent the documents to the Attorney General, along with the finance directors? Does anybody have that?
That was referred to the Ethics Commission.
There was no record, because I asked for records requests, and there's nothing with your name on it. There's nothing.
You
I
did a records request where?
Down the Attorney General.
Well, the Attorney General
Well, I
wouldn't
sent
look
it.
at
I
it.
sent it to the
He
Attorney-
sent it forward
Okay,
to
well, there's-
the
there-
Ethics
there was
Commission.
nothing.
Well, then they wouldn't have my name on there because they
So we're
moved
still
it
waiting
to
then?
some other facility.
Okay, so we're still waiting?
Yes,
Okay, so I should contact the Ethics Commission for a
yes.
opens records request? I will do that. Thank you. Have a very good evening.
All right, now, the next on the list this evening is Sue Metzel. Sue?
Sue Metzel, Smoke Rise Drive. I speak for many residents tonight who desire an end to the fiasco of our finance director. He has violated many of his job duties as given in the city charter. We cannot continue to waste our taxpayer dollars to pay a disgruntled employee to sit at home, all the while also receiving benefits. This employee is setting a very poor standard of employee conduct that Macedonia seems to be willing to tolerate. Let's let him go and move on to hire a new ethical finance director who will be a good steward of the city's dollars. Thank you.
All right, next on the list is Lauren Svengstock, Lauren is not able to attend this evening, so in front of you, all on council and the mayor, we have a letter from Lauren, and I would like to ask Mrs. Arcisi to please enter that into the minutes, please. All right, we're gonna move on to pending and/or new legislation, starting with ordinance number 24-2015.
Yes, Don, Mr. Mayor, I would like to offer ordinance number 24, 2015 for its third reading by title only.
Second.
An ordinance appropriating the funds to add a full-time maintenance worker in the service department of the city of Macedonia.
And what's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we pass and post ordinance number 24, 2015 according to law.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Darrow?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
No.
Ms. Hannikin?
No.
Mr. Molnar,
Yes.
Ms. Tully?
Yes.
Ordinance 24-2015 passes. Ordinance 28-2015.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance number 28, 2015 for its second reading by title only.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a Macedonia occupancy program agreement with Blackburn's Hubcaps and Wheel, Inc.
Moving on, ordinance number 29-2015.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance 29, 2015 for its first reading by title only.
An emergency ordinance amending ordinance number 108, 2007, as amended by ordinance 81, 2009, relating to the Macedonia occupancy program and eligibility requirements.
Before we move on, I just want to mention to our law director, Tom, that we are requesting our law department to be at a meeting next Thursday to discuss this, just so you're aware of
I
that.
think we're doing.
Yeah, no, that's
No,
I'm sorry, what?
that's
Dave's gonna talk to him here.
Oh,
Next
Well,
council.
no, I think we're gonna have a meeting.
We're gonna
Right,
have a
we're
meeting.
gonna have a meeting on roads and stormwater and also finance.
So
for
this
Thursday.
all
will be the
right,
next work session.
delay that. Yeah, gladly. All right, Lucky.
Tom, did you prepare this, or did someone else in the office prepare that? The ordinance 29, amending the MOP program?
Somebody else did.
Okay. I guess my comment in the work session, nobody wanted to hear it, but they said I could ask you out here, so I guess you can relay the messages. I understand what's trying to be accomplished, I really do. And I do support what's trying to be accomplished, but the way it's been done is turned the MOP ordinance into an entirely discretionary vehicle, which I don't think is good for the city in the future. And I certainly don't think it's good to be posting it to all potential people who may come to the city that we have a MOP ordinance, which is wink, wink, nudge, nudge, totally discretionary. We need to put some limits to the discretion, and that's what I think council is looking for. If you want to call me later, we'll talk.
I understand exactly.
Okay, thank you, Tom.
All right, moving on, ordinance number 30-2015.
Mayor, before I offer this, I'd like to give a little insight to what this is and where we're going. This is for advertising for bids for paving of some roads. So currently, council has decided for this year, we're going to have Air Lane, Barkdale, Blueberry, Bonnie, Bradford, Westwood, and the war zone known as Highland Road will be on this to go out for bid to be paved this year. So I would like to offer ordinance 30, 2015 for its first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I think we need an amendment.
We're gonna amend it to add.
I'd like to amend ordinance 30, 2015 to add Highland Road.
Second to the amendment.
Section 1.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Did you get that, Josephine?
I did, sir.
What's your pleasure?
I move that we pass and post according to law ordinance 30, 2015.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Darrow?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Ms. Hannigan?
Yes.
Mr. Mulner?
Yes.
And Ms. Kelly?
Hallelujah, yes.
Good news. Moving on, ordinance number 31-2015.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance number 31, 2015 for its first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance confirming the final appointment by the mayor of Christopher Holmes to the position of full-time police officer.
And what's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we pass and post ordinance number 31, 2015 according to law.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Darrow?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Ms. Hannigan?
Yes.
Mr. Mulner?
Yes.
And Ms. Tully?
Yes.
John, could you tell us something about Christopher, please?
Chris came to us from Westlake. He was part-time there, was trying to get on full-time someplace, so we brought him in from Westlake, and he's doing a fine job.
Great, thank you. Moving on, ordinance number 32, 2015.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance number 32, 2015 for its first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance confirming the appointment of Ron Fearum to the position of full-time maintenance worker in the Service Department of the City of Macedonia, making us a little Italian here, I think, to fill the vacancy created by a recent retirement.
And what's your pleasure?
I move that we pass and post ordinance number 32, 2015 according to law.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Darrow?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Ms. Hannigan?
Yes.
Mr. Mulner?
Yes.
Ms. Tully?
Yes.
Ordinance number 33, 2015.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance 33, 2015 for first, second, and third reading according to law.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance confirming the appointment of Jason Check to the position of full-time maintenance worker in the city, in the Service Department of the City of Macedonia.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance 30, excuse me, Mr. Mayor, I move that we pass and post ordinance 33, 2015 according to law.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Darrow?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
No.
Ms. Hannigan?
No.
Mr. Mulner?
Yes.
Ms. Tully?
Yes.
Ordinance 33, 2015 passes. Resolution number 34, 2015.
I'd like to offer Resolution 34, 2015 for its first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
A resolution appointing Kevin Bilkey to the Audit Committee.
And what's your pleasure?
Move that we pass and post according to law Resolution 34, 2015.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Darrow?
No.
Mr. Engel?
No.
Ms. Hannigan?
No.
Mr. Mulner?
Yes.
Ms. Tully?
Yes.
Resolution number 35, 2015.
Mayor, I'd like to offer resolution number 35, 2015 for its first, second, and third reading by title only, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
A resolution appointing Bob Hopkins to the Income Tax Review Board in order to fill a recent vacancy.
And what's your pleasure?
Mayor, I move that we pass and post according to law resolution number 35, 2015, please.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Darrow?
No.
Mr. Engel?
No.
Ms. Hannigan?
No.
Mr. Mulner?
Yes.
Ms. Tully?
Yes.
Moving on, resolution number 36, 2015.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer resolution number 36, 2015 for its first reading by title only.
A resolution approving the mayor's removal of Scott Schwab as Director of Finance.
Resolution number 37-2015.
Mayor, I'd like to offer resolution number 37, 2015 for its first, second, and third reading by title only, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
A resolution by the City of Macedonia to increase awareness of prostate cancer and declaring March 2015 Prostate Cancer Awareness Month.
And what's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we pass and post according to law resolution number 37, 2015.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Darrow?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Ms. Hannikin?
Yes.
Mr. Molnar, Mr. Molnar. I'm running into these names here. Mr. Molnar
Yes.
and Ms. Teller.
Yes.
Okay.
And ordinance number 38, 2015.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance number 38, number 38, 2015. Do we have to add this to the agenda?
Yeah, ordinance 38, 2015.
I move that we add ordinance number 38, 2015 to the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No.
No.
So we have to do a roll call now?
Roll call.
Ms. Darrow?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Ms. Hannikin?
Yes.
Mr. Molnar.
Reason for my no vote is this is an emergency ordinance to revise our public records policy. There's been a lot of public records being made that have stifled City Hall and caused a lot of problems and keeping us off task, and this helps to promote that. I think that there needs to be a lot more talk about this, and to change that now, I feel is inappropriate, so no.
And what's your pleasure?
I vote no.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. It was on the first reading.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance number 38, 2015 for its first reading by title only.
An emergency ordinance authorizing the mayor to adopt a revised public records policy.
Mrs. RCC, is there any correspondence to the clerk?
I have none, sir, other than what you'd mentioned earlier.
Thursday is
All right.
19th.
The next is the mayor's report. This past Tuesday, I was at the Firestone Country Club in Akron to sponsor a young man by the name of Derek Foster from Hudson, who was made an Eagle Scout. Rising to the rank of an Eagle Scout is no easy task, and in the short time that I spent with Derek, I'm very proud to have sponsored him. He's an amazing young man. I feel strongly he will have a great career someday in medical engineering. He's a student at Akron University and started his membership in the Boy Scouts in Troop 777 from Hudson. It's really a good feeling to go to a meeting like this where these young men are being honored. It shows you today that we still have young people. Some of the people that have been Eagle Scouts, the list goes on from Neil Armstrong to Gerald Ford, and you can go right down presidents and people of great importance in our country that started out as Eagle Scouts. So it's a great honor for me to participate. Our county executive, Russ Pry, gave his State of the County address today in Akron. His report referenced the negative impact the state is having on the finances of local and county government. Just exactly what our presentation was about tonight. He's keeping the county very progressive, and I think we're lucky to have him. It was an interesting and very informative report. I recommend reading it. It will appear online, and to hear his take on where we are and where we need to be. That ends my report for this evening. Are there any committee reports?
Mr. Mayor, the Charter Review Commission met last night, and we'll meet again next Wednesday at 6:30. We're reviewing topics for possible voting on for charter review, and the Planning Commission will meet on Monday night at 5:30.
Thank you, Dave. Are there any other committee reports?
Mr. Mayor, we're going to have a sort of a combined Finance Committee and Streets and Highway review next Thursday due to the fact that we want to look at additional roads to repair and the cost of that and integrate it into the budget.
So it'll be a combination of,
Yeah.
What time
excuse
are
me,
we
of
starting?
roads and stormwater and finance.
What time?
6:30,
6:30.
March 19th at City Hall.
Mr. Mayor, there is a Parks and Recreation meeting the night before. We are going to get together and discuss the activities that have been planned already for this year and to get an update on that as well as talk about other issues. Now, Jim never wants to hear about the parking lot, but we have a parking lot issue. We've got a safety issue, which I'm sure the chief will talk a little more about, the safety issue, and we're talking about something that this Parks and Rec Board has talked about for a long time is security cameras and what can we do to help people on the outside as they're coming in. And any of your thoughts of where you'd like to see the Parks and Recreation Department to go, please don't hesitate to let us know. The representatives are there representing all the residents of this city and all of those members who come into the rec center on a daily basis. I get to talk to a lot of them when I'm up there and I appreciate their input. Thank you.
Are there any other committee reports? Hearing none, we'll move on to department reports, starting with Jim.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. First, I want to thank Council for passing and giving me those couple employees. I know sometimes I get a little compassionate about my service department, but I've been here a long time and I know what our needs are and I know what the residents are looking for. I really appreciate what you've done. Thank you. During the months of January and February, it was pretty bad. You know, we had a lot of snow days, but the men I had during the days I had men working at night, a crew at night. So we were able only in those 2 months, we put down about 15.5 tons of asphalt, coal patch to help the roads. But as everybody knows, it kept snowing and snowing, so that's a pretty good amount considering the days they had to do it. And it was basically only 4 men doing it when they could go out because of with having the night shift. So what I did was I ended the night shift March 2nd. The reason for doing that was so I could have more crews go out and do the coal patch. Actually, they've been back 8 days now and they put down an additional 10 tons already. And so that makes it 25.5 tons that we laid. And that doesn't count the purchase order I just made today for another 25 tons. We have a lot of issues and we're going to try to address it. Now, hopefully the weather will cooperate, we hope. When I ended the nights, you wanted to know what we saved. We actually only worked 6 weeks. The comparisons from last year to this year, because the winter was almost the same, identical. And just in that 6 weeks, we saved over $16,000 in overtime, just so everyone's aware. With additional people, I mean, we could probably run it longer because I'd have people during the day to do different things. But I think that's a pretty good savings for us over last year.
It is.
You know, and that's only 6 weeks, so it speaks pretty good, you know, for itself and how it worked. And that didn't include what we do a lot of overtime cleaning jail cells too, and nobody's aware that we also do that. So, but everything's starting to come around. We're getting ready for the spring. We do have some stormwater projects that we're gonna get. I'm part of the road program, and I'm really glad that you brought Highland Road into this because it was beyond coal patching anymore. We don't want to just keep spinning our wheels. And as far as what's going on in the service department, everything is starting to roll on. We're getting ready for the spring and summer months. So
That's my report, Mayor.
Would you please give a couple of words about Bruce Von Temple and his retirement?
Yes, Bruce Von Temple was my foreman. Well, I actually worked with Bruce since 1992. Good man. Between the two of us, not to pat us on the back, we introduced a lot of different projects and the way to do things in the city. There are a lot of things that the city never did before that we brought in here. Basically, a lot of concrete work, the way you do crossover pipes, the way catch basins were built, and so on. He'll be greatly missed. We had a lot of fun together, got a lot of things done, and Bruce was really a big asset for the city. And when he left, a lot of experience went with him. You know,
He was a very good asset for us.
yes, he was.
How
Very
about
good.
let's talk about his replacement?
John Nadavanch. John Nadavanch was started here when he was 16 years old. He worked here and then he left to become a journeyman, bricklayer and mason, and plus all other construction things that he learned. He's been here 9 years now, full time, and I chose John because of the way his expertise, his knowledge, the way he can work with the men. They have a lot of respect for John. And I think that's very important to have that respect because your men work for you better, and they do respect him a lot. He's going to be a great asset for the city.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
Jim, could I ask a question? I sent you an email yesterday concerning a residence issue with the Public Services billing.
Yes.
Do we have any further
Yes, that was
information?
taken care of today. Sharon called there, and she got his bill cleared up. And I think some of it, before she even called, I believe it was Al Marino already had it where he was getting his refund.
Okay.
Something must have got a
Yeah,
little crazy. They charged him for something.
They were treated him quite roughly for somebody who's a regular payer.
Right,
So,
yeah.
thank you for taking care of that, because the
And Al
resident was
really
quite upset.
came forward for us.
Right.
Okay.
And Jim, they're doing it to several other residents. I got a lot of calls too. Today, a lot of people in my area, over by the Skyline area, we've got green stickers on our garbage cans and said suspended. And it's a whole bunch of them, and then here, they're getting charged $35 too, or some kind of outrageous.
If you would, could you send me an email in
Oh,
regards
yeah.
to that? I would appreciate it.
Oh, yeah,
And
because,
we'll make sure that it's looked at and
Yes.
taken care of.
right,
This resident did mention in his letter to me that, in fact, he had talked to others that this had happened to. So it might be best, in
Yeah.
addition to addressing this problem,
Sure.
is to address it with their contract manager.
right.
We will do that.
Mike?
Thanks, Mayor. The first shop in 463 Aurora, where the old Cook de Sunoco was, was granted occupancy. That is the vitamin shop. They'll be opening this weekend. We started, Nick and I and Jim are going to be talking about this week prior to the meeting, but issued purchase orders for the Sioux Culvert, looking into the design for that. I've been talking with Nick, and we've come up with some different ideas for Guadalupe. We're going to try to present some of those ideas at the streets meeting as well. I think if our idea comes true, then we'll save a lot of money in that
We can
project
save,
as
that
well.
sounds like a save a lot of money part. I like that.
Yeah.
Because that's a very expensive.
Mike, when you
Right.
say Nick, are you talking about Mr. Feeney?
Yes, I am.
Okay, all right.
Also, looking into the assisted living center, it's doing very well. I don't know if anybody's been past that well, but we're almost at a framing inspection now. As soon as they get weather tight, we'll perform that. The apartments that are going in just behind that, we're looking at occupancy in April, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mike. Angela?
Thank you. We have a lot of upcoming events I'd like to make everyone aware of so they can mark their calendars. Our annual aquatic Easter egg hunt is scheduled for Saturday, March 21st, and that is open from children all the way 6 months to 9 years old. That starts at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and there are different time slots designated for different age groups. The Easter Bunny does make an appearance. We'll have pictures with the Easter Bunny. They all get goodie bags. It's a really, really fun event. Voter safety course is scheduled on Mondays, March 23rd. through April 16th. This is through ODNR. So anybody who was born after January 1st, 1982 and wants to operate a boat with a horsepower greater than 10, you're required to take this course and get this certification. So we do have this offered at our recreation center. So anyone who may be buying a boat or wanting to operate a boat this summer and they fall into that category, you can come take that at our facility. Spring break camp is scheduled this year from April 6th to the 10th. That's open for children 6 to 12 years of age. For those who are off school but parents may work, we do have spring break camp and activities scheduled from 9 to 3 every day. And we do have before care and after care, so they can get dropped off or they can stay later to accommodate parents' work schedules a little bit better. Our 5K, Nightway 5K, our first 5K that is being organized by the city is scheduled for Sunday, April 19th. It's going to start and end at the high school stadium, in Nordonia High School Stadium. So we do have registration information online. There are links on our website, which is macrec.com. We are hoping to get a minimum of 200 participants for that event, so we're hoping people do register for that.
Angela, could I ask you a question about that? I noticed that it said a 5K run, but it sounded like you couldn't walk the 5K. Is that correct?
You can walk. There's also a 1 mile
Yeah, I know.
for walking
But
also, if you don't want to do the whole
Yeah,
5K.
5K is 3.1 miles.
Yeah.
And I've been able to walk it, but I would not be able to record time in this.
Yep, you can absolutely walk
Okay,
it.
all right. Just
And
wanted to-
Hermes will always encourage you, they encourage walkers, runners, and alternate runners, which means you do both, depending on what your lifestyle is. So yes, they always have walkers.
Yeah.
I just, the way it was stated on it sounded like that, maybe not, but I just wanted to make sure.
Yep, you can. Lastly, our festival, June 4th through the 7th this year. We have everything in the works. For anyone who has not heard of it or has not been contacted, we've contacted several hundred businesses at this point. But if you have not been contacted and you would like to get involved, we are seeking sponsorships. We're seeking volunteer groups. We are currently trying to add a gambling tent this year. That was our #1 request after last year. So we are actively seeking a nonprofit group who may be interested in running that and using that as a fundraiser. And they basically just have to have the number of volunteers available, to do that. But if anyone is interested, please contact me directly, and I'll be happy to talk to you.
Good
That's it.
job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nick?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Thanks for passing Ordinance 30. Engineering's looking forward to advertising the road program starting next week and the following week, so we should be able to open bids the last week of March, which will put us, we'll be back in front of you the first meeting in April with a recommendation. Hopefully we get some good prices. As Mike had mentioned, we are working on preliminary designs for the Sioux Culvert Replacement Project. Once we get through preliminary and detailed design and finalize some construction cost estimates, we'll come back and request authorization to advertise that project. We're busy wrapping up the EPA Phase 2 annual report. And that's about all I've got, my report.
Thank you. Tim?
Yeah, Mayor, I'd just like to add, with our SCBA last year and this grant, and then our cot loading system through BWC, we've received about $250,000 in grants last year and this year. So we're still attempting to receive a grant for our replacement of our aerial tower, which we're going to have to seriously look at. We've tried for 2 years now. We're going to continue to try for this year and next year, and we're going to have to seriously look at replacing that. It's 20 years old now, so that's all.
Very good. John?
No report, Mayor.
Tom? All right, we'll move on to, is there any unfinished business? New business?
Wait, don't you have your mayor's report?
A long time ago.
Or do, oh, you gave it, all right. Unfinished business. Three things real quick. One, I'd like to thank Betsy for the health fair and for the employees, as well inviting us on council. For those of you who had maybe attended, it was very worthwhile, the health fair that she had arranged this week. And it's an ability for the employees to get some information from a varying, I mean, it ran from healthy foods to chiropractor to eyes to, I mean, it was just about everything you could. And so I'd like to thank Betsy for putting that together with that organization. Second of all, thank you again to the news leader, Rachel Coghill, second in state in gymnastics. I don't think anybody even knew she was going because all you ever read is Brecksville, Brecksville, Brecksville. So they've won it 12 years in a row, you know? And to, I think it's Kayla Scott Craig, who also was there, to our state wrestler, Anthony Perrine. You know, sometimes you gotta look real deep to see what the names are because they print them out so small. As my eyes get older, it takes time. The boys bowlers are in state this weekend. Hit those pins hard. And then outside of sports, because we always talk about sports, the high school mock trial team, which I hope everyone got to read the article. That was pretty darn impressive of what they had accomplished there. You can probably tell I used to be very active in PTA, was president of just about every school there is. I think it's the youth of this community and that attends our school that is our future. And so when we invest in them and we recognize them so they continue a good job in their lives. My third thing would be gutter cleaning. Did we ever do the gutter cleaning for the seniors?
It was too late in the season, but they're gonna be doing it within the next week or two.
Is there a way to do them now that the snow is melted? Because
He had to get registered, make sure he was re-registered, that was first. And then he, for 2015, and he's gonna start ASAP, as soon as possible.
Okay.
This weather, this was the first time when we really start to get some decent.
well, it is nice to see the green grass. We figured
Yeah.
we might as well get our
He's
gutters
gonna-
cleaned
he's gonna
out.
clean it.
Yeah.
And we gave him additional names, because there was more than when we started.
Thank you.
In my comment.
Is there any other unfinished
Wonderful.
business?
I'd just like to mention that the Rotary Club, in partnership with the Y and the school system and a couple of other major organizations, is sponsoring the building of a permanent safety town at the Rushwood School location. And we have a process where we're going through to raise money, and I invite you to look at the Nordonia Hills Rotary website, where we have an opportunity for you to buy a brick and just see what we're going to be doing. But as you know, kindergartners and young people are learning safety rules, personal safety as well as traffic safety in these safety town classes, and it's a great opportunity to contribute to the community. So buy a brick at least. Thank you.
Any other business? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Roll call.
In a vote, thank you, Don.
Ms. Darrow?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Ms. Hannikin?
Yes.
Mr. Mulder?
Yes.
And Ms. Tully?
Yes.
Thank you all for coming.
That was nice.
He's okay.
That was really nice meeting.
My favorite forever.
Right, so can I talk to them? Yeah. That would be perfect for them.
And it's not gonna be just, so you know, like the full hours of the entire event. We'll have set hours for that. So that you can, it's not like how many